Every 3 months, the Massachusetts State House in Boston presents different exhibits for visitors that include individual artwork, artifacts, and selections from museums and private collections. Plymouth Plantation's exhibit, called The First Thanksgiving, is concluding soon, and PACTV Community News caught up with Senate President Therese Murray for a tour.
As you can see, a lot of the display depicts the life at that time, in 1620 to 1624, I believe, including bringing in the harvest and, of course, the celebration, as we'll see in another picture of the actual harvest, which was the first Thanksgiving celebration. Oh, this is the first time the plantation has come here and brought a lot of their artifacts and copies of what would have been available in the 17th century. For a way of life for both the Native Americans as well as the Pilgrims, and it's been very successful. People really like seeing what's here, and hopefully we'll get people down to Plymouth too. This'll get people, both tourists and members alike, down to see both Pilgrim Museum, Plymouth Plantation, and all of Plymouth. This is what you would have found on a more prosperous person in the colony. It's all pottery done by Plymouth Plantation potters, all replicas of what you would have found in the 1600s. Remember, they were merchants, so they weren't wealthy people, but they brought what they had with them. And of course, once they got here and other ships came, more came with them. But you see the wooden utensils that were used, the salt vessels, the ceramics, and of course what they learned to eat here, which were mussels and lobsters and other things that became a staple for them, especially in that first winter. This is Wamsutta. He was also known as Alexander Pokanoket. He was called by the New England colonists. He was the eldest son of Massasoit, and died a very mysterious death after eating with some colonists who wanted to talk to him because they thought he would be following in his father's footsteps. And he had dinner with them, and two or 3 days later died. Now that could have been that, from what we hear, he was given milk, which they never would have had before, and he could have died from dysentery or lactose intolerance, or as his brother felt, he could have been poisoned. So we don't know the real story there. But of course his brother, who took over after him, was King Philip, who almost wiped out the entire colony before his death. These are some Indian artifacts here. Headpieces. They used the wild turkey and the red-tailed hawk and goose feathers to make their headpieces. They were very colorful. They also used tattoos and paint and wampum, and this kind of depicts what it might have looked like. It wasn't a one-day event, it was a multiple-day event where they celebrated the harvest, and it wasn't obviously in 1620, since they didn't arrive here. They arrived in the New World in November that year, just before the winter really set in, and came up from Provincetown and settled in Plymouth. But these are some of the clothing they would have seen there, all hand done. And they must have been very cold. It must have been a very, very harsh time for them. But they obviously persevered, and kind of the beginning of the country that we see today. I think it's a great opportunity for everyone to see, both residents of Plymouth, residents of the State House, the people who work here to see it, but also the many tourists that come in and out of here in school groups to see what's available for them, and that they could go down to Plymouth and go through both Pilgrim Hall Museum and Plymouth Plantation and see the real deal.